Today we're making this guitar from this kit, and I'm going to show you step by step exactly how to do it. Full disclosure, I've been playing guitar for 32 years at this point, and lately I've been in the market for a new guitar, so I figured why not feed both sides of me, the maker and the guitar player, and just do it myself. But before we get to that point, let's unbox it and see exactly what comes in this kit. This kit literally has everything that you would need. It has a rough sanded body with a loaded pickguard that comes complete with 3 single coil pickups, solid maple neck, of course, that's already fretted, built-in nut, truss rod, and rough sanded that you can finish this basically however you want to. A bridge with whammy bar, your jack, your neck plate with gasket, tuning machines, and even a guitar cable and strings. So let's get started on actually putting this thing together my way. We're going to be starting at the most obvious and biggest portion of this project, and that is going to be the body. This is where you can take this thing into whatever direction you want to go. And I've got a direction that I've always wanted on a guitar that I've never owned. You may not like it, keep that in mind, but it's something I've always wanted. I'm not going to do that in this shop because I really don't want to mess up the space. So I'm going to take this over to my house, make a mess there, and then bring it back here so we can carry on with this build. This definitely isn't ideal, but it's pretty realistic. By the way, I'm going to be finishing this guitar with an automotive paint. Now, if you're painting this with a metallic, keep in mind that you need to go to at least 600 grit. And that's because the sand scratches are so deep that metallics will fall into the valleys of that, and you're going to notice it on your finish. All right, so I just did a real quick light coat, and then I'll come back and do a little bit heavier. I'm not gonna bore you with all that, but we'll come back once it's ready to hit with 400 grit. It's all sanded up, it's the next day. You may notice some of this burn through here on this primer, and that's okay. I've always wanted one of the tour-worn or weathered guitars, and I think that's the direction I'm gonna be going with this. All right, so I'm gonna leave it at that, which you can see it's not completely covered. That's not the point. We're gonna get that coverage later on with more coats. I'm gonna bring it inside so it can flash off. It's still pretty cold outside. And then we'll come back and we'll look for that coverage on the second, third, or however many coats it's really gonna need. I don't know just yet. All right, it's been about 10 minutes. So now we're gonna be working on coat number 2. And this is when you want coverage, or you wanna start building up that coverage. More coats that are lighter is better than too heavy of a coat that sags or runs. What do you think? Am I making the right choice? Weathered look or solid color? Because I'm kind of torn now. I went back and forth on how I wanted to finish this guitar, and there's a million ways that I could have done it. I chose this, a style called road worn, or it's just vintaged or weathered, and you can see that it looks like it's been used a little bit. It's a process that I really like to do. I've never done it on something like this because you can sort of tell a story through the finish that you're choosing. Now you can choose whatever finish that your heart desires. If you want to go raw wood, you could finish it that way, a solid color. If you want to spray metallics, it'll look really good no matter what. But if you do spray a metallic, keep in mind that there's a process there. But now that I have this finished, I can set it to the side and we'll focus on finishing this neck. The neck of the guitar is arguably the most important aspect of the instrument when it comes to playability, intonation, how it feels in the hand, and all those other things. Now you can customize your neck literally however you want. I'm gonna leave it pretty well neutral just to keep the build fairly simple, but I am gonna be putting a finish on the neck and the fretboard itself. I do need to sand this up to 320 grit before going to the finish, and I promise you I'm not gonna bore you with that, so we'll just jump back over here once I'm finished. That was simple enough, and I'm taking some denatured alcohol and rubbing it all over, making sure I don't have any dust. All right, that feels nice. I'm gonna clean the surrounding area as well. The neck finish that I decided to go with was Tru-Oil, which is typically a gunstock oil. The reason I went this direction is because I can apply it to both the neck and the fretboard itself and not worry about having to tape it off, but it's gonna give me all the protection and sealing that I need. And it's pretty simple. All you need to do is, after you've sanded the neck, you clean it, of course, then you can just apply it straight from the bottle with your hands or a cloth. You do nice even coats, and once you get it nice and evenly on the fretboard and the neck, you're gonna wait about 2 hours, buff it with 2-aught steel wool, and then keep repeating those steps until you have all the grain nice and filled. All right, so that's after 2 coats of the Tru-Oil, and it feels really good. It doesn't feel sticky or anything like that you might find with like a polyurethane finish on it, which I don't really care for. If that's your thing, by all means. So now I think it's time to start putting the neck together, and then we can get it fitted to the body. For this step, all we're gonna do is put our tuning machine in, just one at a time, and hold it in place, and a washer over top, and then the tuning seat, which sort of acts like a nut, we'll loosely screw that on. We'll not worry about how it's aligned just yet. We'll get to that in just a minute. Last one. Right, but now we can flip it over, and you'll see that the tuning machines can only mount one way to our pre-drilled holes that are already in the neck. For this type of work, it's really good to not use power tools because you could end up stripping something out. It might be tempting, it may be faster, and you may do it and nothing happen, but don't risk it. Just take the time and enjoy the process. It's kind of fun. Okay, now that that's good, we can flip the neck back over and use a 10mm wrench or pliers or whatever you have around and tighten down the seats to the machines themselves. And that's if you can even find a 10mm. Mine typically grow legs and wander off. If you've finished your headstock, you may want to lay some tape down or something to make sure that you don't slip and accidentally mar it up. But I think we're good. For this next little bit, I suggest getting some tape and putting it right here on your headstock. And this is so we can find the location for our string retainers, which are these little guys right here, which have the bushings that are set to the side right now. And to do this, I'm gonna bring you in really close so we can try and find this placement as easy as possible. So I've laid out the tape, and I've also labeled some important things. This right here is called the nut. That's this white piece right here. And I've also labeled the posts of the tuning machines. This is the E, A, D, G, B, and E string respectively. These little guys here need to be placed somewhere here and somewhere around in here. So the purpose of these string retainers is to maintain proper tension on the D, G, B, and E strings. So there's a lot of ways that you could go about doing this, but I'm going to take this ruler and I'm going to slot it into the nut, going right towards the D string here, and I'm going to use my marking tool and draw a line that represents that string. I'm going to do the same thing, sort of get close to the post there. That would be the G string. This would be the B string, and then you have the high E string. Just it's a little wobbly here, but that's okay. That's just me. So there's our string representation. And we know that this one needs to be placed around in here to touch those two strings. And this one needs to be somewhere in here for those two strings. This makes it a little bit easier because from the nut, this plastic piece right here, this one should be 2 inches. So if I kind of scoot this out of the way and mark 2 inches, this should live about right there. And this one is 2 3/4. So this should live somewhere around in there. And that is the location of where we need to mount the string retainers. This part might seem a little nerve-wracking, but it's not that big of a deal. I have a 1/16 inch drill bit, and I put some green tape on there to make a sort of a depth stop, so I know that I haven't gone too far, because I only want to go 1/4 inch for each of these holes. Go slow, let the drill bit do its work, and pay attention to how deep you're going. There we go. 1. That simple. Now we can take our tape off, and we have the locations of where our retainers need to go. I made that and it just bounced out. Okay, so to put these retainers in there, you'll notice that one bushing is taller than the other one. The bigger bushing goes towards the A and D string, and the smaller one goes on the other one. If you want to imagine this like the letter M, it'll go M, kind of like you would write it down. So you can make them tight, but you don't need to make them crazy tight. They should be parallel with the nut. There we go. Positioned. So the neck is done now, so we'll set it aside, get the body back over here, and get it together, and then we can get this thing wrapped up. All right, now things are starting to come together. You probably took your pickguard off, and you notice that there's 3 wires. You have a red and a white, which go to your output jack, and then you have a ground wire, which is the black wire. The output jack will be mounted right here once we get to that, so that needs to go through this little hole that's drilled through the side. We can try and start it through there as much as possible. And then the ground actually will go through the hole that is right through the center that comes out the back, which is where your spring claw will be. I'll try to grow a third hand so I can pull that through. Okay. Then we can lay our pickguard down in its final resting place, just like that. Now, all we need to do is to connect our output jack. We can fold these wires neatly down in there. Now we can secure our pickguard back like it used to be. Definitely don't over tighten these. You don't want to crack your pickguard already. I still haven't peeled my plastic protective cover off of this either. We'll save that for the end. Last one for the pickguard. There we go. Now we can put our jack where it needs to go and line it up. Find our screws for this. Where did I do with them? Okay, so I found the screws. They're M310s, which are the exact same thing as the pickguards here. Here we go. Now we move on to our strap buttons, which have these two longer screws, these little bushings or washers, and the buttons themselves. And these are positioned here at the horn and right at the tail. So this side is basically done minus the bridge, which is the next little bit here. And we will set our bridge down in there, just like that. Then we have these 6 M424, I believe, screws. So for this, we want to back these out about 1/8 of an inch so that the bridge can sit flat. Just like that. And the reason we're going to do that is so we can flip this over, and that can pretty well stay in place as we work back here. So in that bag of screws, you probably noticed these bigger ones here. These are M432s, and they go for this guy right here. This mounts like this, with the two big holes going towards the neck, and these little fingers going up towards the sky. Of course, you have the ground right here. And these screws will go right in here. And we are not going to tighten these down all the way. We will get them started. And that way we can put the springs on and not fight the tension of those. Leaving this about 1 inch or so away from the wall of the cavity here. That should give us enough so we can tension this with our springs. And for these springs, they're going to go in the holes of the bridge here. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 what look like holes, but only 3 of them are actually drilled out. So we're going to take our spring, the circular eyelet section, put it over one of the little fingers there, and you may need to use pliers. I may need to use pliers too, but hopefully we left enough slack. There we go. Push it down into that drilled section. Last one, right in the dead center. And from here, we'll leave the ground still loose. We can tighten down our screws. Then we'll keep going with this until we get to about 1/2 inch away from the body. And that's pretty close. Then we can connect our ground. Just like that. Now we can flip this back over and tighten down the 2 outside screws for our bridge that we had loose a little bit. And these ones you can tighten down all the way, or you can leave about a 1/16 inch, give or take a little bit for the inner 4. And sometimes that can improve your tuning. I'm going to snug them most of the way down. The last little bit, our cover goes on there like that. Let's flip it over and get to finishing it up. It's exciting. Now we get to see this come together as a guitar. We get to put the neck into the pocket. So to do this, we're just going to gently set this guy down in there. Get our first good look at what it's going to look like. Gently flip it over. We need to grab our neck plate, the screws, and the gasket. Our neck plate there. We'll try and do a little balancing act so we can clamp the neck plate. I've got this 6-inch Wood River clamp here that'll help me keep everything nice and aligned. So I'm going to position this right here on the neck plate, giving myself something that I can work around. Tightening it down so everything's good and flush. Make sure the neck sits back in its pocket. But if you notice that the screws are going in really rough, hang on a second, loosen everything up, and make sure that your neck is aligned, and then come back and try again. So there it is. It's all together. I'm gonna put some strings on it, and then we're gonna take a listen to it and see how this thing sounds. So we got it strung up and we're ready to set this up. Setting it up means that we're gonna make it play as good as possible right from the get-go. Now, there are people that make this their career, so there's no shame in taking this to a local shop. But for those of you that are interested in doing this yourself, what we're gonna do is first set the action height, which is only the distance between the fretboard and the string itself. A high action can be hard to play and feel a little weird, and too low, it can start to buzz on certain frets. So we're gonna grab the provided 1.5 millimeter hex wrench and a trusted shop ruler, and we're gonna measure the 1st and 6th strings, so the 2 outer strings, right at the 12th fret. The 12th fret is the one that has these 2 dots right on top of each other. What I'm looking for is about a 1/16 of an inch, and then we can go down to the saddle all the way at the back here and adjust it if we need to. But it was, honestly, it was pretty close. The other string, it's a little low. If it's about a 1/16 or just slightly over, it's good enough. Man, they are actually really, really close right from the get. Now we're probably out of tune. Oh yeah. No buzzing. So that means that we're definitely on the right track. All right, so before we listen to how this guitar sounds, this kit was just a ton of fun to put together. If you're a guitar player or an aspiring guitar player or just a maker at heart, this is a perfect kit for you. It allows you to basically infinitely customize this to be whatever you want it to be. And you may not be a fan of this road-worn look, and that's totally okay. This kit is designed to be just a good base kit that you can further customize in the future, just knowing that you did it yourself and that it's exactly what you always wanted it to be. But now that we're finished, let's take it and listen to how it sounds. So thank you for coming along with me on my personal guitar build. If this helped you out or inspired you in some way, please like the video, share the video, comment down below, let me know what you would have done a little bit differently on your own guitar. And if you like this kit, check it out at your local Woodcraft or visit us online at woodcraft.com. I'll see you in the next video.